Gizzy 5571.
Jailed for 11 years.
I want to run Rhyl, and I want people to be frightened of me.
I'm not surprised that John Gizzy made a lot of money and was very powerful within that community.
Gizzy fronted a drugs gang.
I've got news for them. We can catch them, and we will catch them. He owns us.
But will prison stop him? John Damon Gizzy has left a town in fear. He made millions here, and even from prison claimed to run it.
He liked being branded with the fact that he was some kind of gangster. The I am John Gizzy, look at me, basically.
A violent drug dealer described as Mr. Big.
I've seen gangster films and all that. What goes on in Rhyl, you wouldn't believe it.
His first jail term, he was classed as dangerous. After his release, he quickly returned to crime.
He was pretty ruthless in what he did. He didn't care about people and their lives. It was all about making money.
The 39-year-old is now back behind bars. He was head of a drugs gang bringing cocaine into Wales.
This has been a massive investigation. North Wales Police considered that John Gizzy was a significant threat to the Rhyl and surrounding community.
One man has witnessed Gizzy's rise. Now retired, Chris Corcoran was head of CID at North Wales Police. He spent years investigating Gizzy and was determined to end his control of Rhyl.
My police career started in Rhyl in 1980. John Gizzy was a 10-year-old boy at that time, unheard of to North Wales Police. John Gizzy didn't come to light in terms of criminality till he was aged 20, 21. I think his reputation was such that if anybody upsets me, or owes me money, or looks at me the wrong way, then they're going to get some violence back. Because my reputation says I will do this, and I want people to be fearful of me. I want people to be frightened of me. And of course, in the end, they were. And that's why it was difficult and frustrating for the police officers to say, how do we get people to complain about this person? The only way we can do it is get enough police information ourselves to get the evidence, which is what we did eventually.
John Damon Gizzy started out working as a builder, earning around £16,000 a year, but soon he was living the millionaire lifestyle. At the time, this was home, Bronwylfa Hall, a £1.5 million mansion in St Asaph. He'd drive through the streets of Rhyl in his £100,000 Bentley. The question was, where was all his money coming from?
He started to get involved with people involved with contraband, tobacco smuggling, counterfeit clothing, drugs-related issues. No convictions at the time. Probably the start of his downfall in many ways.
We've spent the past few weeks in Rhyl talking to people for this programme. Everyone knows the name John Damon Gizzy, but very few people are prepared to appear on camera. By 2002, Gizzy's reputation in Rhyl was well established. Then someone came forward to give evidence against him. This is 39-year-old Gary Hayward. His parents have been prepared to speak out on camera.
He was a likeable rogue. You know, if he could make a few bob here and there, and he had been in prison.
Everybody liked him. It was a bit naughty at times, but apart from that, he would do anything. He used to go to work. He was an electrician. It was like a little jack of all trades, you know. He could put his hand to anything.
One night he was violently attacked in Rhyl.
Just been kicking him all over. And his face was a right mess. It was cut. It just looked out of shape. I really did get a shock.
Gary Hayward accused Gizzy of attacking him. A trial date was set for September 2003. Gary would be a key witness.
Gary, he was a strong lad,
Yeah.
and he was determined to get to that court. And he said, "Mum, I just want to look him in the face and tell it the story he had to tell." But he never got that chance.
There was concern for Gary and his family's safety, and they moved out of the area. As the trial date approached, the pressure on Gary was growing. Then his parents had a visit from the police.
And he came in and he said, "Have you got a son called Gary Hayward?" So I said, "Yeah." And I'm ready to tell you this. He's been found dead.
Gary was found hanged on the day Gizzy was due to go on trial for assaulting him. An inquest recorded a verdict of suicide. Without him, the trial collapsed. Gizzy was never convicted of anything in relation to Gary Hayward. Rhyl is a struggling seaside town on the Denbighshire coast. The west side is the most deprived area in Wales. Colin Jones is a former town councillor and local historian. He believes Gizzy has exploited the social problems the town suffered in recent years.
The holiday business gradually gave way to a different kind of industry. Landlords were making money out of housing people who were placed by agencies, for instance, agencies resettling prisoners or dealing with people coming out of drug rehabilitation and so on. But it became an industry, and then another industry was built on top. Landlords found that they could make more money taking in people with problems than ordinary tenants.
Rhyl once had hundreds of hotels and guest houses. Now many of those have been turned into bedsits.
It's a coincidence of events. The downturn of the holiday business, the rise of the nightclubs, the change in police attitudes. All these things coincided to create the situation that made John Gizzy what he was.
Gizzy owned a number of properties along the Rhyl seafront and in the west end of the town.
So this area of Rhyl, very much bedsit land and I guess the stomping ground of John Gizzy.
Yeah, it's typical Rhyl Street. It runs from the promenade through to the town centre. It's bedsit land. There are several problems around the area with some of the residents, alcohol related, drug related. So you can imagine someone pulling up in a Bentley Continental and parking in this street would certainly make a show on arrival, and then getting out with, you know, the glamorous jewellery, expensive watches and such like. And then would have this aura about them, this status symbol, who got fairly well known in these areas. Of course, this is where the money came from. This is preying on people who were dependent on drugs and drink and such like, vulnerable, weak. And John Gizzy took advantage of that. He seen an opening, an opportunity, a way of making a legitimate income, and took advantage of these people. Many from similar streets all over Rhyl.
So the conditions in Rhyl were right for Gizzy to exploit, but unbeknown to him, the police were building their case. They set up Operation Hawthorne, and in March 2005, there was a crucial development.
We had an ambulance call to someone severely beaten, lying on the pavement in a bad way. Information told us that John Gizzy had just left the premises. We followed this chap to hospital. We got a story off him that he'd been sleeping in there for shelter, and that a person he knows as John Gizzy come in and started to batter him when he was half asleep with a chair leg, using it as a baseball bat. He received 20 stitches to his face. On top of that, after he'd badly assaulted him, he dragged him down 2 flights of stairs and threw him out.
The attack had happened at a derelict cafe Gizzy owned on the Rhyl seafront. While investigating the crime scene, forensic officers made a grim discovery.
There were different aspects of blood. So we knew they come from different people. We had them DNA.
And these were like blood smears on the wall, spatterings on the wall.
Yeah. You have to imagine that these people were penniless, homeless, but when they were half asleep and defenceless, John Gizzy, with some associates, he started to batter them across the head. One blow could have killed them. Thank heavens it didn't. But he continued to hit them until they were, bursting with blood all over the place. Why? No need.
The evidence against Gizzy was stacking up. Police identified 3 victims, but there was more.
We had to get him to almost convict himself, to brag about what he was doing, and he would, because his ego made him do that.
They bugged Gizzy's Bentley car and recorded a chilling admission as he described battering one of the men with a shovel.
His Bentley car was his status symbol. This was his symbol of wealth and well-being in Rhyl, the big man. But he'd also use his car as a mobile office. So all of his criminal activity was taking place in this Bentley car. And we were able to listen to some conversations going on. So he was bragging about the assaults he'd committed. Excellent evidence for us.
In January 2006, John Damon Gizzy went on trial. He was classed as a Category A prisoner, the most dangerous and the same status as a terrorist. Police believed he could stage an escape. Also accused was this man, Dennis Fontenot, described as Gizzy's lieutenant. Gizzy pleaded guilty to assault of 3 men and conspiracy to sell counterfeit cigarettes. He was sentenced to 5.5 years in prison. 22 charges of mortgage fraud were also taken into consideration. Fontenot was jailed for a year for 1 assault and conspiracy. Putting Gizzy behind bars was a massive result for the police.
He always says he would never do a day's prison. He couldn't be caught. We proved him wrong in that. He's serving 5.5 years in prison at this time. We've taken away his millionaire lifestyle from him. He will come out homeless and penniless. We will take the Rolex watch off his wrist and the gold rings off his fingers to make sure he has no assets whatsoever when he comes out.
The man who was feared in Rhyl had been sent down. Chris still remembers the impact it had on the town.
It's this big lifestyle about, here I am, I'm a criminal, but I'm uncatchable. People are frightened of me, I can do what I want, I can live the lifestyle I want. Suddenly, he's caught, he's got nothing. The people in Rhyl told us as if a weight had been lifted off their shoulders. One person could have that effect almost on quite a large community. So they were telling us what a great job we were doing. Thank God this man has been locked away.
But even after his conviction, Gizzy sent a message to local police saying, "I may be locked up, but I still run Rhyl."
Gizzy was in prison, but it wasn't over. The courts believed he'd made nearly £7 million from his criminal lifestyle. He was ordered to repay assets of £2.6 million or have his sentence increased. He was freed after serving 3 years and repaying £1 million after the court accepted his assets had lost value because of the recession. In March